All right, welcome back to Franchise. We have the Angels. It is the end of season one. We are going into the postseason, and our manager, Ron Washington, has decided to retire. Of course, the irony is he just came and managed one season for us. So that's fine. So that means we're going to be looking for several positions. Contract with the hitting coach has ended, which is just fine. We were going to let him go anyway. And then we have some negotiations to do, qualifying offers. I don't think anyone is going to get one of those. A few retired players. Adrianza is our only retiree. He was not going to be continuing, I think. Wanted to see if there's anyone else that is particularly interesting for retirees. Oh, Madison Bumgarner is retiring. Yeah, doesn't look like anyone major that I would anticipate. So let's see if there's anyone is going to. Nope, no inductees retiring this year. So looking at what we've got to do in the off season, we have a few things that we're going to be paying attention to. We have free agents to sign. I don't suspect we will be signing a lot of high profile free agents. We'll also see what kind of deals our own players are looking for. But we do need to review. We have some coaches to look at, and we have some contracts to do. I'm not going to bore us with all of that, but let's jump in here. I am going to let this guy go. If we're going to come in and hire a new manager, we may as well, give him at least his top number hitting coach and pitching coach to go with it, and we'll give another year or two with these guys before we. I did want to take just a minute to take a look at how some of our guys did this past year. I know I went over the stats and stuff, but I wanted to show you who our organization named players, our organizational players of the year. The most improved players by rating were Patrick Sandoval, who went up 5 after a very strong showing at the back end of our bullpen. He did have a little bit shortened season. He did miss one start, it looks like, but that's it. And Nolan Shanwell, they both went up. He ended up going up 4. I thought it was 5. But he's up to 73. And Victor Medeiros, one of our prospects, went up 5 as a C potential player. That is some outstanding growth for someone with a potential that low. And then our minor league player of the year, Sam Bachman, who progressed in his year 24 season. He went from 61 to 65 and increased his potential to the point in which we had to call him up as one of our late season call-ups. Our major league player of the year, of course, has to be Mike Trout. He had a decent season for us, considering he had the most at-bats he's had since 2016. He finished 285 with 30 home runs, 82 RBIs, 81 walks, 19 steals, the most steals he's had since 2018. He had a strong showing for us and was clearly our player of the year. And Patrick Sandoval was our pitcher of the year with a very strong showing, 3.47 ERA and 1.42 WHIP. Not really ace caliber stuff, but top of the rotation kind of stuff. He was certainly our best player. So I wanted to do that before we proceeded. One other see all of these guys that we can sign, but let's take a look at free agency right now. Top names: Juan Soto. He came over from in trade from San Diego. So the Yankees got him for a year. They're trying to re-sign him, but he is not super interested. Pete Alonso, Tanner Scott, Corbin Burns, who the Orioles would love to re-sign, Christian Walker, Gleyber Torres, Willie Adames, Paul Goldschmidt, Max Fried, Clay Holmes, Anthony Santander, Teoscar Hernandez, Jose Leclerc, Jeff Hoffman. So it doesn't look like it looks like there's only a few top level guys here, elite level players. Of course, the free agent superstars here are Soto and Alonso. And the New York teams are hoping to keep them around. So we'll look and see if there are any sneaky good players that we can sign for cheap or for speculation. I like the approach that the Tigers have taken, which is similar to the Giants, which is to occasionally bring in a reclamation project, sign them for a season, see if we could trade them at the deadline for a prospect or two. I think is a pretty safe and fair way to go do it. These guys know that's what's going to happen with them. So I thought of that one just now when we're looking at Shelby Miller here, who had signed with the Tigers for the 2024 season after having a sort of reclaimed Dodgers experience, and so he came over to the Tigers in hopes to pitch a little bit better, tweak his skill. The same thing with the starter Jack Flaherty, who they signed to improve, and he has gotten off to a great start in 2024. Now, similarly, he may be the kind of guy we want to pick up for just that kind of reason. He still has a potential. He improved a little bit this past season. He's not any better or he's not any worse than the guys we already have in terms of skill, but in terms of somebody who we can turn around at the trade deadline and get someone for, we probably could get more for Jack Flaherty than we did for Tyler Anderson, for instance. So he's someone that we might want to think about for in that way. And then I'm going to go through and take a look for some of the prospects that were drafted but didn't get signed, or what happened to another team, as happened to our team, where the player came in and didn't actually, we signed him, but he didn't make the roster for some reason. It's just one of those things. So we'll be back after I take a look. All right, before I go through and look and sign all of the players that are already on the team and see who I need to keep, I want to show some of the players that I found in free agency on this first day of free agency, some of the guys that I am targeting. And you can see they are no one's top of the line at the moment. Drew Pomerantz, we still had that contract offer with him. I don't really care one way or the other whether we sign him. He's a lefty, which is helpful to have another one in the bullpen. And he's got one more good season in him, I think. So go ahead and I'll take a flyer on him. And the rest of these are actually all sort of speculation picks. Warner Grissom is mostly closer depth, I think, but with a 65 overall at age 24, he's signing a minor league. He would sign a minor league contract. He didn't. It with all of that regression, it shows that he was on the free agent list all season long. So someone's going to pick him up, which is just how it is. Derek Snyder didn't get signed by anybody, and so this is a primo pick for us. He is a developmental prospect at this stage, I think, because like his hits per nine and walks per nine don't add up to 100, so he's going to put a lot of guys on base at this point. But he's a lefty. He throws hard, and look at those Ks per nine. Would love to see this kind of this guy develop a little bit. He'll be a great back of the bullpen kind of arm for us in the future. But he was an old for a prospect. They didn't want him, I guess, and I think he'd be great for us in a season or two. Cody Hoyer, he sat out in the free agency pool this year. B potential, that means so he went that means sitting out there, he went down. He'll be rusty. I think, but as a veteran, he'll come in and I offered him a 2-year deal with a club option. Thinking about him as depth, but speculation, like he could come in and see how that works for us. See if we can get his progression to go in the other direction. Otherwise, it's not a big loss. I'd rather spend $1 million on a speculation pick like him and see if it doesn't work. We'll cut bait later. Sean Wise, another one. Don't love his velocity, is not going to develop, but he's mostly a depth pick for us. Who knows? Maybe he's got some sort of sneaky good. He's got 69 break, so we'll see how that all that goes and develops with him. He's not a high end prospect by any means, but a depth pick, see potential, and he's a high schooler. Josh Menard, another C prospect guy. Now we're starting to get into that sort of that range in the 50s and below where there's a question of whether or not they can develop, if they'll ever really develop. But he's 20, he's 6'3", 205. He can already hit. He's got great solid plate discipline already for a 20-year-old. He's not a good defender. But we'll put him in A and see if he can develop some of that. He's a first baseman mostly, I think, because he's not a good fielder, but he can run. So I could see him, in left field, or if that arm develops a little bit, play him in right. But so we're taking a flyer on him. He, again, mostly depth, but see if he can develop. Same thing with Frank Sexton. I love that multi-position eligibility. He can play in the dirt and the outfield. He's got good speed. He's not a good defender or hitter, but he's got some potential with his contact skills. He's 19. There's plenty of opportunity for a guy like that to develop at 19. Carlos Ferreira is a bit more of a project. That B potential means it's likely that his progression is faster. On average, a C potential player, if he does, sort of what seems to be the baseline is C potential players playing average ball get 2 points of progress a year. B potential get 3. A potential get 4. If they do better than stuff, they get boosted 1. If they do worse, they go down 1 from there. So a C potential guy is likely to go up 2 a year. So 2 years, 10 years from now, he's 74, 29 years old, and he's got, he's able to have some stats that are workable in that range. Carlos Ferreira, on the other hand, has a shorter runway at 21 than 19, but he might get a few more points each year. So he's a bit more of a, there's a little more projection here that you can look at him and go, oh, there's some guy here. Even though he's 2 years older, I like his body size. I like that he's an excellent fielder already. Though he doesn't have an arm for right field, we'll move him to left. Great speed as it is. He'll steal us some bases, and see if his bat can develop at A before we take the risk at Double A in a season or two. And then I think the last two are even bigger projections, probably depth. Fernando Lopez is a year older than Ferreira and an overall one lower. He's not as good a base stealer, but he's got the same kind of speed. Similarly, he's a decent fielder, but not good enough for right. He's a good enough fielder for right, but he doesn't have an arm for right. His bat needs to progress. And Rodney Knapik, this is totally project. Who knows? I really, it's one of those you don't anticipate a 47 overall to be any good. He's going to be playing A ball for several years. See if this guy actually has any potential at all. But with a B potential, best case scenario, this guy is like an 80 something potential overall. And if we see some 3 and 4 point progression, in 4 years, that gets him up to an overall of 59 at 24, 25. It's not terribly good, but it actually, you could start to see if that's a player worth keeping. But anyway, all of these guys are just primarily organizational depth down here and projection, and see if they will go anywhere. I like my low minors to be filled with guys with some upside that I don't, and have them play every day and see what can happen a year or two. But otherwise, I don't see anything in free agency that is just blowing me away. It would be great to be able to sign a Max Fried who for 2 years and hold down the bullpen or hold down the rotation, but I don't think that makes sense for us. I mean, we could go in and spend on one of these guys, but I don't see it making a lot of sense for us. Similarly, I don't want to spend 3.5 to 4 million on a reliever, let alone. And this is the other thing. A lot of our guys are sitting here in free agency. So 5 if I want Estevez back. If I wanted to spend 5 for him, I would have kept him. And I don't see upgrades. I really don't see a lot of major upgrade at any of these positions. I mean, we have a prospect we just signed long term at first, Gleyber Torres maybe, but actually, he wouldn't be a bad call for us. But third, that's not a huge improvement over what we'll be fielding. I think we've signed our shortstop. Left field is not an improvement. Center is obviously not an improvement, and right. I'm not gonna give up a prospect, a draft pick for Juan Soto that we don't deserve having, and I don't see anything here that has me terribly excited. So we're not gonna be super active at this stage in, like that name, at this stage in free agency, unfortunately. But I do need to make sure of how many guys I'm going to try and sign, and make sure that we have room on the roster for them, and we'll see how our initial signings go. Look at this. Tanner Scott has been signed by the A's, 5-year, $37.5 million deal. They got themselves a new closer. Okay, we've got ourselves some coaches. Rolando McQueen took our contract deal at just shy of $4 million a year. He is definitely a defensive specialist, so our defense should look good, especially on the dirt. I think with those arms. Trevor Bass is our hitting coach. He's got some power, plate discipline, contact, plate vision. I love those contact skills, those on base skills. And Dylan Shugan as our pitching coach. Hits per nine, Ks per nine, walks per nine, velocity. Looks like he is going to help progress our pitchers. And with A-rated hitting, pitching, and manager, I think that may help us with some of our free agent signings. So I want to show you this funny one here. Here's Michael Kopech, former top prospect for the White Sox, starting pitcher. Look at this. I mean, he had a pretty good seasons in 21 and 22. 23, he got kind of rocked. 2024, they've tried to convert him to a closer. But for us, he was out on waivers in the middle of the season. So we picked him up, stashed him, and he's now 28 years old, still a potential 65 overall because he's a reliever. He would be 70-something as a starter. But I want to show you something because of his contract past. If to sign him to a 5-year deal, he's age 28. That would mean he signed into his early 30s. We'd get him for a pretty good, the bulk of his time. But look at this. Notice the salary guide to the bottom. If we signed him for 1 year, it would cost, he's looking for 2.9. It would take $3 million for us to sign him for 1 year. And look at 2.9 only gets him a little bit interested, like pretty well interested in us. It takes 3.2, 3.3 for him to like guarantee that he's going to sign with us. Whereas, we go to 2 years, still 2.8 a year. But once you get into the free agency years of his contract, he's worthless. So there's a way in which this is one of those in which signing him to a longer term deal makes sense. For us, I'm inclined to go ahead and do it, mostly because I think he will progress. At the very least, he's going to be a bullpen arm for us, and with the potential to be, our closer in a season or two. But I just wanted to show you the ridiculousness of the signing at the moment. With a guy like this who the game is sort of treating like a bust, but I think he's not going to be a bust for us. I think once we actually work with him, he's going to progress nicely to sign. I'm going to take a look at these, the major offseason transactions so far. Lots of re-signings here. Christian Walker, Willie Adames, Bobby Miller, Nolan Jones, Framber Valdez, Gunnar Henderson, and Paul Goldschmidt all re-signed with their teams. Tanner Scott is on the move to our rival Athletics, who are moving in this year to Sacramento. All right, we are approaching the winter meetings. Winter meetings, of course, where all of the big baseball deals happen. And, there we go. The Twins signed Corbin Burns to a 6-year deal worth $90.6 million. There we go. For us, it's also where the draft lottery happens. So let's take a look and see how we are set up. The White Sox and the Rockies and the Nationals all have the best odds for getting the number 1 pick, followed by the Royals, the Athletics, Angels, Red Sox, Marlins, Guardians, and Pirates round out the top 10. And we're going to go here. We're going to simulate the draft and find out where we're going to select. And we got it! We got the number 1 pick! Look at all that red. Look, Yankees went up 11 spots. Holy cats, I've never seen anything like this. The Yankees went up 11 spots to number 2. The Angels went up 5 spots to number 1. And the White Sox went down 2. The Nationals went down 1. The Rockies went down 3. The Royals went down 2. The A's went down 2. And everybody else went down 1 because the Yankees went up 11 spots. They finished at 500 and get the number 2 pick in the draft next year. But the big news for us is our number 1 pick. It's like kismet. I love it. I'm excited about that opportunity to pick 1, but that's a lot of pressure, isn't it? Oh my gosh, top pick. Well, we're gonna have to get that right. That's what that means. We have to get it right. So the next week, this next season, we've got 14 weeks. We're going to be focusing a lot on that number 1 pick through the top. Whenever you're in the top 5, 8 in the draft, I spend a lot of time on that number 1 pick because you need to try and get an A potential player, with 60 overall. Like that's where you need to be trying to get when you have that kind of pick. We did that last year. We had the 8th pick, and we were able to get our pitcher ace of the future, David Lakdawala, who has a 96 overall and a 96 potential, 69 overall. He is, which means he's knocking on the door at 21. We need to get that level of pick. Only we have to try to get the best player we can get in this year's draft. So let's hope it's a good draft. All right, let's keep moving. We have, with the signing of Corbin Burns right during the winter meetings, we're still hoping on signing Jordan Montgomery here as our big off-season pickup. I'm not looking to lock down a Max Fried or a Shane Bieber just yet. Though Bieber's looking a little interesting now that we're thinking about it, but at that price range, I prefer not to have to spend on a big time guy just yet. Jordan Montgomery, I think, is a good value for us here. A 2-year contract with an option for a third is a solid choice for us. If we get too much lower, we'll just be using guys who are at the same level as our own guys. Jose Quintana would be a good pickup, but again, if we're looking at $10 million for 1 year, and I'm not looking for a longer term deal with him. So I think Jordan Montgomery is the guy I'm hoping that goes through. Other than that, I think I'm not super keen on anyone else in this class. Like I said, like you can obviously see, we can't get Juan Soto. That would be dumb. Max Kepler is intriguing, but we have. I don't want to block Mickey Moniak in right field. JD Martinez is interesting as DH for us. He can still mash. He's got 1 more year in which he can be viable as a starter in the show, and I think he could be useful. Patrick Wisdom could be useful, but I hate to see those terrible contact skills. But the power is legit. So that's pretty much it. Gleyber Torres would be. He is astounding in the show, apparently. with excellent defense and contact skills, which I can't fathom. Good plate discipline. I mean, he really would be the smart the smart play, but again, investment in the time. I don't think it makes a lot of sense for us to spend this kind of money on a guy right now. So I think we're looking for values. We've already picked up some guys to help build up our system. So I think this is it. I think we're gonna have to see what we can see if Jordan Montgomery will sign with us and we can run with that. All right, we're about to do the Rule 5 draft, which is interesting. This is probably an interesting opportunity for us. We have 2 roster spots and 2 40-man roster spots, one of which is probably Jordan Montgomery's, but we've got some room to work if we need to. There's not likely to be anybody for a starting rotation arm that is worth looking at. And our relief pitcher core is actually pretty deep, so I don't want to fill that up unless there is an up-and-coming closer that shows up there, or reliever that is worth blocking one of our up-and-coming relievers for. So let's take a look and see where we're at. Okay, everybody ahead of us takes somebody. Micah Priest goes right fielder, 71 overall. I think the White Sox are looking for a guy to start in right field for them. Dre Jameson, relief pitcher, 69 overall. He can pitch right away. They're not worried about him. Going to the Rockies, the Nationals take Andrew Moore, a lefty bat. Righty. Oh, sorry, he's a relief pitcher. It threw me because he bats left and throws right. He's a reliever, 67 overall. Walks are going to be a problem, but has some upside. Mike Vassell. All right, they went relievers. Let's see what we've got. Eric Lauer. Well, that is intriguing. Let's see what the computer thinks. Who the computer thinks we should take. They think we ought to look at starting pitcher. Probably Connor Overton. No thanks. That's not an upgrade. That doesn't make sense. I like to look at these the people in order of potential, and then I also like to scope out the positions. Let's do the positions first. So top of the positions at starter, Connor Overton, Eric Lauer. They would be the only ones worth examining because of the circumstances, but I'm not interested. Relief pitcher, lots of guys that you could just take a flyer on, but not anybody to bank on. Dennis Santana has the most upside and still to be found, other than our own Landon Sims. Closers, Dwayne Underwood Jr., and a couple of guys that might get a little bit better. Tony Santillan and Grant Hartwig. He's not going to get much better, but Santillan might. Nope, not interested. Catchers. Nope. First baseman. Not a lot to choose from here. Though Joey Loperfido is a real prospect in the Astros organization. He doesn't have the power he's showing in the minors here in this game. At second, there's a B potential second baseman in Reynel Delgado, and he has some contact skill already, so he wouldn't be too embarrassed by Major League pitching potentially. That's interesting. That is not what I anticipated happening today. Okay, gotta think about that. Third base. Oh no, there's another B potential player who is just about major league ready. Why are they doing this? Why are they not protecting guys with high upside that are nearly major league ready? He needs another year at AAA, I think, but maybe not. Maybe not. I like I've said before, I like 60s in my contacts to bring up to the show, but with a Rule 5 draft pick, you're just looking for value. Shortstop. Oh, Jeremiah Jackson's a prospect. Jordan Sprinkle. But we already our minors are full of C potential shortstops. We don't need another one. Left field. I don't. That doesn't look like a lot. Center field. Ooh, we don't need it. Right field. John Rhodes. He's serviceable at the corners and at first, which could be interesting. His overall is where you need it to be, and he can hit lefties. That is interesting. Whoa, this guy has some speed. Logan Kearney. He's definitely a glove first prospect, which is unfortunate at right field, but he certainly could be a center fielder without any trouble. That's an interesting choice. All right, let's take a look at our most highest potential prospects. Eric Lauer, best on the board, but he's 29, and we're set at starting pitcher. I don't think he is in the cards for us. Justin Brule. I can't stand that he can't throw, that his sinker is 89 and his cutter is 86. I can't do it. But these are a few interesting prospects right here. Colby Thomas. I didn't see him at right field. 65 overall. His contact skills are not quite there, but he's could play defense. He could pinch run. He could bat occasionally. He's not quite as developed as I'd like for a Rule 5 pick. Cody Hoyer, he's our guy. Tyler Locklear is a bit more developed than Colby Thomas. His bat is, which makes him much more serviceable. He plays third, which is now increasingly a deeper position for us. I like that he's got some power potential, but and he's a corner infielder, so that is tempting, but not nearly enough. Blaine Enlow, Tyler Phillips, Lucas. Oh, I'm not even going to try that name. No, Gerson Moreno. Bryce Matthews, Tristan Furling. Now, here are a couple of Oh, I didn't see. There's Max Anderson, too. He's a legit prospect. So, Reynel Delgado is probably the most enticing because his bat-to-ball skills are almost there. He's going to be a good defender. He can play all over the infield. And he's got decent speed. He might be able to steal a couple of bases for us. Max Anderson is the other one. He's not quite there. He's a slightly better defender with his arm strength, and he's a year younger. I don't know why they didn't. Why aren't they protecting these guys? And then yeah, I think this is it. These are the only ones, and really the only one tempting me right now is Reynal Delgado. Um, yeah, all right. So I looking up, he's not a prospect that I know, Reynal Delgado, and looking up, he's not on the Guardians top 30 for this year or last year. Looking up his minor league stats, he is not performing like a top prospect, which makes me think he's gone on a run in this game. Look at his power numbers went way up on the left side. He must have had a fantastic season at AAA in the game. He's a little older, so maybe he's no longer considered a top prospect. So I feel even better about taking him, and let's do it. Let's go for it. So I want to just no, they took Landon Sims. I said they wouldn't, and they did. Oh, geez. All right. Who went after us? Will Warren, and Dennis Santana, John Rhodes, Ryan Murphy, Chaparro, and Logan Cerny. That's the guy I looked at. All right. Oh, that's a bummer. That is a bummer. We lost somebody in the draft. But we're gonna skip our next selection because we really only want one on our team. Okay, it we looks like we lost one guy. We added another guy, and our utility infield is set. Reynel Delgado. All right, we're into January, and I signed Jordan Montgomery. I don't think he wanted a 2-year deal. I think a 1-year deal is where he is. Oh, he's not on the 40 man. It must be because he sat out the last year. So we even have a little bit more roster flexibility if we needed it. But yeah, we ended up having to go with a 1-year deal, 8 million rather than the 2-year 15. The Kansas City Royals came in with a 1-year offer at 7.1, and he was leaning toward that over our 2-year deal at 15. So we had to go a little bit higher to try and get him because I think Jordan Montgomery at 8 million is a deal. I also decided to go after JD Martinez. The more I thought about it, the more we do need one more bat in the lineup. So offering him a 1-year deal at 4.6, I think that works. That's, again, a good deal for us. He will, if our season goes well, then we've got him for the 1 year. If we end up approaching the trade deadline and it's time to get rid of him, get rid of players. JD Martinez has enough name value and power left in his game that there has to be some team who will want his bat at DH or to come off the bench for the playoffs. So that seems like a no-brainer at this stage for us. Looking at the big board, it looks like Juan Soto and Max Fried are still up there. The one major signing is that Gleyber Torres re-signed with the Yankees, but it's been pretty quiet on the free agency front. Going for it. But this one I couldn't pass up. Joey Ortiz, and he is actually a name prospect, getting a chance to play this year. his contact and is where I want it. He has good contact skills. He's got defense. I thought giving him just throwing a year at him, probably putting him in AAA and letting him to progress a little bit more and see how that goes. And then I did throw a flyer at a 42 overall 22-year-old first baseman just because I'm a sucker. And I'd love to see what can happen with him. He's a B potential. He probably can't get to. It would take a miracle for him to get there, but he's lefty, which I love. He's got good defensive skill at first base. No speed. He would clog the bases. Just hoping that lefty bat can develop and maybe turn into a kind of a late bloomer. So Kevin Tovar, I'm gonna pick that guy up, and Juan Soto to the Rangers. Rich get richer on a 7-year, $195 million deal. The Rangers get Juan Soto. Unbelievable. We sitting out in free agency was I couldn't handle it to see Max Scherzer getting no offers, sitting out in free agency, 40 years old. He's gonna regress mightily. He already has, but we're gonna give him a chance in LA. Give him one last season. Let him retire an Angel. I'd rather see that happen than have him retire from free agency. Max Fried finally signs with the Astros. That's a good pickup for them. In the our division got a little bit stronger, didn't it? With those last two signings. We have finished spring training. We're preparing for opening day, and that means roster cuts. So let's take a look at where we are, and I want to give you a little bit of, the decision-making process as we go. So my starting rotation is going to be Patrick Sandoval, Jordan Montgomery, Griffin Canning, Spencer Turnbull, and Max Scherzer. Oh, wait, no. Sorry, got that wrong. Patrick Sandoval, Jordan Montgomery, Reed Detmers, Griffin Canning, and Max Scherzer, and Spencer Turnbull will be the long reliever. Zach Plesac pitched really well for us last year, and he actually had a stronger spring training than Spencer Turnbull, but he has more options, and I don't mind giving him a chance to pitch every day as a starter in AAA. I think that will be good for his development, knowing that he has a chance to develop at least a little bit further than he has right now and put him in a good position for the rest of the season. I like to carry 6 starters on my rosters, and that includes at Triple and Double A as well. I like to use my 6th starter in a long relief role, and as a swingman, it serves for injury purposes and because so many of the relievers in MLB the Show have such low stamina, they are worthless as long relievers. So I like to carry 6, and so I have to have at least 18 starting pitchers on my roster that I'm willing to start at AA, AAA, or the Major League roster, which is interesting because I'm going to have David Lochdewala come in and pitch at AA. As you can see, he could totally handle AAA based on his overall right out of the gate. But in terms of realism purposes, I can't justify having the guy come straight into AAA. I don't think he's Paul Skeens by any means. So he is, he finished last year at the rookie complex. He's coming out. He's skipping over single A. I think he can handle playing, pitching at double A to start the year. And then I have our highest rated guys in AAA. So Chase Silseth is going to lead that rotation with Zach Plesac, Chase Daney, Davis Daniel, who pitched for the major league team last year, halfway through, and Victor Medeiros as our starting rotation, and Michael Darrell Hicks will be our long reliever. At Double A, it's going to be Drew Hackenberg alongside David Lakdawala, Alan Rangel, Caden Dana, Jack Kachanovich, and Darren Moran, with Ray Gutierrez, who we drafted last year, and Brett Carey being on our single A roster. Relief was actually a little bit easier because all of our best pitchers pitched really well in the spring, which made it easier to have them join us on the roster for the rest of the time. That means Andrew Wantz, Jimmy Herget, Jose Soriano, Jose Quiada, Robert Stevenson, and Jose Suarez are all coming with us to LA. Sam Bachman, Michael Kopech, Ben Joyce, Derek Snyder, who is a new pickup, alongside Cody Hoyer, and a stable in the minors for Los Angeles, Jose Marte, round out the AAA roster. Sean Wise, Jack Dashwood, Mason Erla, Ivan Armstrong, Jeff Murillo, and Eric Torres round out AA. For closers, Drew Pomerantz is going to continue to be on our roster, but Jimmy Herget is going to remain our closer. He did well last year for us. He picked up 11 saves after we traded away Carlos Estevez, and he had 12 holds before. Andrew Wantz pitched great too. Honestly, the difference between the two is their pitching is clutch, as that Herget has a 71 clutch, and even though he is not a strikeout pitcher, but he limits walks and he limits hits. Andrew Wantz limits hits like crazy. He's a great pitcher. Warner Grissom, whom we picked up in the offseason, is at AAA. All right, this one was easy. Similarly, an easy pick. Logan O'Hoppe, Matt Thayas. We're going to rock them on the Major League roster. Catcher is another position I always have to have two. At least two at every level. There are other positions you can mix and match, but starting pitcher and catcher are ones you can't. So I always have to have two catchers. First base, Nolan Shanwell. Evan White went back down to AAA. Sonny DeShera is at AA. At second base, Luis Rengifo and our Rule 5 pick, Reynel Delgado, are going to be our second baseman. Cade Doughty, we brought up from AA to AAA. I think he's ready. His contact versus right-handed pitching, I'd like to see at about 50 before he makes that move, but he hits lefties well, and his fielding is approaching plus. He needs to be at AAA, and the team needs someone with his skill level at AAA. At third, we're rocking Edmundo Sosa, who we traded for last year. He is going to be our everyday third baseman. I think in the future he may get displaced, and we might rock him as a super utility role if depending on how things play out. Aurelvis Martinez and Joseph Ortiz went back down to AAA. They need some more seasoning. Both of them need some contact work. So they will be down there. Zach Neto is our shortstop. And because I wanted to send these two down, send Martinez and Ortiz down, it meant I had to have on the roster for our 26th player somebody who played poorly in spring training. So it was either going to be Kyron Paris, Levon Soto, or Jordan Adams. So I chose Levon Soto. He plays all three infield positions other than first. So he'll be fill-in utility bat. He also bats left-handed. So if we want to rest Zach Neto against righties from time to time, we'll have that extra bat to work with. But that way, that gives us a chance to let our best prospects get a little bit more time, particularly those two, and then also Tommy Troy and Adrian Placencia, who has risen up and surpassed Soto and Paris. In left field, we've got 3 left fielders, but only 2 of them will play there. Taylor Ward, who also can play all over the field. So he is a super useful guy. JD Martinez will be our DH only, and Joe Adell can play everywhere in the outfield. He has enough speed to play center. I don't like his reaction time, but his speed can almost make up for it. And so he can even play center because of that. At center, we've got Mike Trout. And at right field, we've got Mickey Moniak. So this is our active roster now. We were able to make a few sort of adjustments and we'll continue to make adjustments in the minors throughout the season. But this is one of those things I do want to take the opportunity here rather than later to just name. When you have players in your minor league system, you want to make sure that they play. So you need to make sure that they are in your starting lineup all the time. And so sometimes it's worth having a guy play, sort of maybe go a little higher than you might want them to go. I think Nelson Rada, he was at A for us. I'm confident because of his contact skills right now that he can be hitting for us at AA, and because we don't have anyone at center field in AA that we can feel confident about, I'm confident he can hit. He can field center field, so that's actually the position he plays right now in the Angels organization. So he will be our center fielder at AA. For that reason as well, we've got 2 other sort of essentially depth outfielders at AA. So I don't have to mind them too much, but that meant we only had 3. So I wanted to make sure we had a 4th outfielder. So David Calabrese has come up and will bat and will play at AA this year. We have similarly 4 AAA outfielders in Bryce. I'm not going to do that again. Jordan Adams and Deshaun Knowles and Orlando Martinez. Right. So that means we have enough room to rest a player, and that there's enough. We want to make sure that Jordan Adams and Deshaun Knowles play every single day. And then we do, of course, we do the same thing for our infielders. Knowing that we have 2 third basemen at AAA, both of them can play short, and Ortiz can play second. So that means we'll be paying attention to K. Doty is C potential. I want to play him as well. And Evan White, C potential, want to play him in the infield. And at short, we've got 2 of our top prospects, and we want to play both of them. So we're starting to get a little bit of a log jam at AAA in the infield. So one of these guys is going to be DHing every day. Tommy Troy can play the outfield. So he may be, and that's what we did with him last year. So I played him in left field last year. So we're likely to play him there again so that we can give more at-bats to higher-rated prospects. So I might have Adrian Placencia playing short. Or actually, let's have Placencia DH, and then we'll have Orelvis Martinez play short, perhaps, or maybe Joseph Ortiz. And the other one will play third. Doty will stay at second. White will stay at first. And Tommy Troy will play left. And then Jordan Adams will play center. And Deshaun Knowles will play right. And that will give us our best players playing every single day. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.